not an African American, I'm an American. I am a Black American. I am definitely Black. And yes, my ancestors come from Africa. How long does a bloodline have to live in one land before they are considered a pure species of that land? Meaning, how long did my people have to be in America to say, hey, no, we're American, compared to some people who are English American, who are Irish American, who are German American from their ancestors, but they get to call themselves American. There's nothing wrong with being African American, but a true African American is someone that is from Africa and moved here, either first generation or second generation, and has a tie to that country that I do not have.
And has a tie to that country that I do not have.
Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't. We're not from the motherland. We're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a Black American. So I consider myself a Black American. I don't consider myself African American. And shout out, because Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't.
Grand Rising to the fam, Grand Rising. So this is interesting. Braxton, the snake fiend in the house, Lord Maul, Israelite 1865, Claus Van Dam. Interesting conversation I had. I was watching this show, a couple shows yesterday. Obviously, I didn't go live. Been a little busy, but I've been watching some YouTube shows, and folks been talking about Pan-Africanism, has been talking about FBAs and our talking points, misrepresenting us, you know, talking to clowns on the internet that who are not FBA, just trolls, misrepresent our arguments like revenue and the African tether. So anyway, I was in one chat and the moderator, I was like, hey man, some of your views you got on this is totally twisted. I'm like, yeah, man, you need to talk to people who really acknowledge themselves as FBA, come through my channel and blah, blah, blah. So he heard me say, he heard me use FBA. He automatically, oh, you guys are dumb or whatever. So I'm like, hey man, no need to call names. Just tap in and we could have a mature, no non-name calling conversation. So I said, matter of fact, leave your email in the chat. You know what I mean? And I'll email you and blah, blah, blah. Emailed them. So yesterday I was going to go live and bring him on, but he wanted like a conversation first to fill out, and a little older than me, non-name calling conversation, like a good conversation. So, but I said, man, leave your email in the chat. The term, you know what I mean? And I'll email you and blah, blah, blah. Email them. Why, no, that's not going anywhere. So yesterday I was going to go live and bring him on anywhere. But he wanted like a conversation first to fill out and beliefs. But some things he said a little older than me, non-name calling conversation, good conversation. But I said, man, leave your email in the chat. The term, you know what I mean? And I'll email you and blah, blah, blah.
So what should go into that soil?
Yesterday I was going to go live and bring him on anywhere. But he wanted like a conversation first to fill out is beliefs. But some things he said a little older than
Black businesses, and you would say, well, you know, Brother Reddy, we have Black businesses, right? And that should, so what should go into that soil or tax, right? So what you go into that soil is we want to see
some things he said a little older than
what we want to see is what do cities do and what do white communities do? Okay, is that fair?
Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna, I'm actually going to come back to that because I want you to just kind of just dive in there in terms of explaining to us what exactly the Black City Plan is.
Okay, so why don't I do that? Okay, why don't I do that? Okay, you and Elena and Brother Taki and others have embarked on this great project called Happy, right? Which you're happy about.
Yeah.
Happy is what Infedici and Dr. Ricchetti, who have been on your show, and other great scholars know as the Nile River. It is actually a principle, a nature that's kind of like male and female, and represents maybe the north and the south of ancient Egypt. And this river fed this civilization, and it became the heart of economics and the development of that civilization. And so the question is, what is our happy, right? What is our happy? So this particular picture is a Nubian tribute in the tomb of Hui. And because, one of the things that we do as scholars is we study ancient history to kind of use those principles to help us understand the whole past and what we may do in the future. So this picture pretty much shows African economics in ancient Egypt. And if you look closely, you see different types of Africans, dark, light, right, of different complexions, and they are part of a civilization. And so this is classical African civilization, and ancient African civilization, other civilizations followed this kind of, how can I say, this kind of same theme, right?
Like model?
Yes.
Yeah.
They followed the same model. Okay, but what we have lost is understanding what goes into empires, goes into civilizations, goes into states, nations, and states and cities. The city is what people don't understand, Felicia. People don't understand that the city is where we live, die, pay taxes, give birth, educate our children, where we go to work. The city is where the majority of Black people migrated to. Okay? And so the city, not the state, not the federal government, is where our power would be, if any place. So Black scholars read lots of scholars. We don't only read Black scholarship, we read white scholarship. And so Jane Jacobs has this incredible book called Cities and the Wealth of Nations. And she says, the basal unit of economic geography, as she observed, nations are political and military entities, and so blocks of nations. But it doesn't necessarily follow from this that they are also the basic salient entities of economic life, or they are particularly useful for probing the mysteries of economic structure. So lots of people talk about the nation and the federal government and all that type of stuff, but they miss the fact that it is actually cities that we should probe. So the reasons for rise and decline of wealth are the cities. Once we try looking at the real economic world in its own right, rather than a dependent artifact of politics, we can't avoid seeing that most nations are composed of collections or grab bags of very different economies, rich regions and poor regions with the same nation. We can't avoid seeing too that among the nation, various types of economics, cities are unique in their abilities to shape and reshape the economics of other settlements, including those far removed from them geography. So she argues that the wealth of nations is actually generated by particular places inside nations, namely cities. So, yes.
Okay, so the Black City Plan. You looked at the Hapi, which is ancient Egyptian name for the Nile River, and you looked at how civilization was able to begin there and to thrive and flourish. So in terms of the Black City Plan, how did you then take what you learned there to create the Black City Plan? In terms of your city plan, what does it look like? Can you kind of walk us through like what exactly the Black City Plan is?
Sure. Okay. So, so I have to share the screen again. Sorry. Because, I can talk but the problem is that, just talking, people don't understand the concepts. And I want people to see the concepts. So let's just try to see if I can share this again. I'll get, I use different platforms, so I'll get better as we progress as far as sharing. Okay, so let's go into the Black City Plan.
The Black City Plan, yes.
The Black City Plan. Okay, what does it look like? Okay, so we already talked about city as an economic concept, right? Mm-hmm. So white people, they have incorporated in their cities something called municipal enterprises. Municipal enterprises is when the city now becomes the business manager and the business group. And what they do is that they create these businesses, and on the right side of it, these municipal enterprises play a critical role in building community wealth for several key reasons. They create stable quality of jobs for community members. They increase local economic status by reducing a community's reliance on the whims of private businesses. They often provide goods and services to underserved areas overlooked by for-profit and non-profit providers. They often provide goods and services to local residents for lower cost than their profit providers. They generate new local revenues that can be used for countless community benefit purposes. So what white folks who are also subject to their own predatory corporations, what they have is their cities go into business, okay? And our cities don't go into business. Our cities make way for those industrial predatory companies. And so we are subject, like I said before, this, my sister went to Howard, Antoinette. So she gave me this book by Sean D. Rochester, who I think also went to Howard University. And he came up with this book called The Black Tax. And he talks about all the things I said in that soil: the black tax in real estate market, the black tax in automotive market, the black tax in auto insurance, the black tax in online commerce, the black tax in job search, the black tax in legal professions, business financing. Black tax is pervasive. Then it goes on to how we actually got to that particular point. And then he also has this incredible chart on slavery. If you look at it, it was $50 trillion of black tax. Right? Okay. Yes. Yeah.
I just want to stop you so I can make sure that I'm understanding this. So part of the Black City Plan is using these municipal enterprises in a better way.
Absolutely. It is Black people taking control of their cities and now understanding that they can use their cities as business partners to generate that fertile ground.
Okay. So I'm just imagining, let's say we can Detroit, and we start, taking over the municipal enterprises. Is there anything in your plan that is going to, because I assume there's going to be resistance to this. Okay, so is there anything in your plan that accounts for that resistance, like from corporations? Because at the end of the day, they're going to stand to lose a lot of money.
Well, the nature of a city is that the city itself is the lawmaker. Mm-hmm. We don't know that. Cities make human rights laws, they make commerce laws. So they may be unhappy, but you got to also remember, this did not start in Black cities. It started in white cities, municipal enterprises, right? So they can't be unhappy with white folks, and yes, they can be unhappy with Black folks. But when Black people know their power, and yes, we already have Black cities, they just don't know their power. So here's my screen again. Black enterprises, which are municipal enterprises, Black city enterprises. And like I said, I look at history. So that's Red Meyer, and that's Mansa Musa. This is Mansa Musa's pilgrimage, this movement of all these goods and services to Mecca. And then there is Booker T. Washington's
All right. So before he go into this second presentation, can we examine the first presentation, please? Is that possible? 1 second. 1 second. We just want to address the first one. Give me a second. I just need to oh shit. Here we go. Yeah, so these guys like him, they want to be the leader or something. So they try to come up with something innovative, challenging, something like this that's unvetted. I heard he tried to give it to a politician at a bonfire, right? And it went straight into the bonfire. Like the politician didn't understand that he was presenting something, like to look at a Black City plan, and the politician thought he was giving them more steps on the bonfire, so it went straight in the bonfire. Now, if that ain't a clear sign to you to relax and do something else, like nothing is. Like you give a politician a Black City plan, something to examine, and he mistakes it as more debris for the bonfire. Yeah, it's a wrap for you. Like you should just give it up. Okay. Yeah, but this thing where you're the leader, and anybody that comes with something more tangible, more realistic, they're automatically your op. It's ridiculous. But this is what most people like him uses for fuel to go against FBA delineation, so self-identification, things like that. And you'll see like different like Africans who come over here with a thought, like Marcus Garvey. They come over with a thought. Nobody else thought matters. This is the way. And they're going to view Black people, Black Americans, Black civil rights activists at that time as ops in the way of this repatriation idea, because they always want to be the leader of the lineage. And it's interesting because Booker T. Washington didn't try to be the leader of a lineage. Neither did W. Du Bois or anybody at that time. Everybody was just contributing to the civil rights movement. So anyway, so from the first presentation, Brother Reggie's Black City Plan sham, it drew deeply from African antiquity, right? So they're trying to connect us back to Africa so much that they want to pattern a Black City Plan after like some Nile Valley civilization in Egypt. Like these Hotepers are so in love with Egypt that they want us to like create a system similar to Egypt. Weird people. More like as a metaphorical and philosophical foundation for modern Black economic and political self-determination in our urban spaces. Okay. So his vision is deeply rooted in cultural pride and Pan-African analysis. That's the problem. Everything is from a Pan-Africanist lens. He tried to contain key strategic strengths, but as you know, this is a Pan-Africanist analysis, so it inevitably has key strategic weaknesses and implementation gaps. Okay, and we're going to examine those gaps. But the summary of the plan at its core, Brother Reggie argues that the Nile River Happy, the HAPI, the Happy, was the lifeblood of ancient African civilizations, economically, spiritually, and politically. He talk about cities. He says cities, not nations or federal entities, are the true drivers of economic power and transformation, drawing from Jane Jacobs. He said that. What he said? He said Black population in America are heavily urbanized, so thus reclaiming and transforming the city is the logical site for Black empowerment. Then I don't know what the hell he was drinking when he thought of this stuff. He said this empowerment would draw from ancient African civilization models collective resource control, and localized governance. It's a bunch of hogwash, right? That's all it is. It's just trying to sound cute, trying to be innovative, trying to bring something different, and it becomes a nothing burger, time waster. We follow this garbage, white racist, systemic racism. Like, yeah, go ahead, follow that blueprint, and then we end up further behind in the wealth gap. Okay, so let me talk about his philosophical overreach without clear policy mechanism. So the first problem is, while the Nile metaphor is poetic, right? Is so he's romanticizing and is rich in symbolism. It does not translate into concrete policy steps, Brother Reggie. Urban economic development, land use, tax policy, infrastructure, public-private partnerships, and zoning laws. That's something that Umar can run into. Are highly technical. So without a clear urban planning framework, it's unclear how Brother Reggie, Black City Plan, Pan-African scam shifts from metaphor to measurable reality. So it would stay as a metaphor, kind of like Garvey's repatriation BS to Liberia. So what I mean is, it's not enough to say we should control cities like ancient Egypt control the Nile. Okay, but how does that look in 2025 though? America, 95% of the cities are regulated by state and federal constraints, Brother Reggie. 95% of cities in America are regulated by state and federal constraints. But we should control cities like the ancient Egyptians controlled the Nile. It's foolishness. Okay, so then he assumes cities can be controlled by marginalized populations without structural change. Here's the problem. Many cities where Black people from a majority, e.g. Detroit, Jackson, Flint, Baltimore, are still beholden to state oversight, Brother Reggie, federal underfunding, and private capital flights. So why it's a flawed concept? Because local control doesn't equate to power. Okay, so even if Black residents control the city council or mayor's office, budgets, laws, police, and economic levers are constrained by state and federal institutions. For example, Detroit's bankruptcy in 2013 led to state takeover and emergency managers overriding elected Black officials. One more time. Detroit's bankruptcy 2013 led to state takeover and emergency managers overriding elected Black officials, all those people you try to get in office. Control, Brother Reggie, is actually an illusion without state level economic sovereignty. You need state level economic sovereignty, something you didn't speak about at all. So your control, that's an illusion. Okay. He doesn't acknowledge gentrification and capital flight. Here's the problem. Cities are marketplaces, Brother Reggie. They're not blank canvases. Okay. You have land speculation, you have gentrification, and corporate real estate dominant urban landscapes. They dominate urban landscapes. So Black communities don't own most of the land or housing in Black cities, quote unquote, Brother Reggie. So building a Black city in a market-based system without land acquisition or anti-gentrification mechanisms means that your plan is vulnerable to market takeover. Example, Harlem, Atlanta, and DC have all seen dramatic Black population decline due to rising rents and outside investment, normal gentrification. So he's just talking. There's no clear funding or investment strategy. The plan doesn't explain how the Black city will be funded. Okay, just some leprechaun gold, I guess. Will it be through crowdfunding, Brother Reggie? Will you take donations like Umar? Is it government grants? Is it diaspora bonds, cooperatives, or do we just learn your Cash App tag and just give you the money and just trust you. Every successful city, Brother Reggie, or urban redevelopment plan has a financial backbone. Okay, remember I talked about Soul City, and it was the backbone was through federal grants and things like that. Yeah, you should next time, Brother Reggie, look over Soul City before you recommend something as goofy as this. It was attempted in the late 70s, and it was sabotaged or undermined by conservatives. It's another thing how you can protect yourself from media propaganda demonizing us like they once did. So without a multi-pronged funding strategy, this becomes a dream without legs, similar to Marcus Garvey's steamships repatriation to Liberia and Dr. Umar St. Paul College campus for Black boys. The Freedom Georgia Initiative in Toomsboro, Georgia, or the Tulsa Real Estate Fund attempted similar plans, but ran into serious problems because of lack of capital, organization, and community consensus. Brother Reggie has too much heavy reliance on ancient metaphors instead of current models. This is the problem, family. They're stuck in the past, and they're usually old people who stuck in their ways, man. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. They won't modernize their conceptions. So the going back to the Pan-Africanist brother I was talking to yesterday, I said, yo, y'all problem is you and brother Reggie, your problem is that you're trying to debate me on things you read 30 years ago. When I'm reading stuff just yesterday or this morning, I said, you're gonna always lose, man. I said, you need to update your information, man. Stuff you could, and the thing is, they're trying to recall 30 years ago. Can't even do a good job recalling it. And my information is coming from yesterday research. I said, yo, update your research, bro, and you'll stand a chance. Otherwise, it's going to be a Terrence Crawford versus Canelo type of show. Okay, so again, he used tremendous heavy reliance on ancient metaphors instead of current models. So the ancient metaphors, family, is no different than Jay Morrison saying, Tulsa, Oklahoma, we're going to buy back the block. You know, they're relying on things that people hold dear to, like they resonate with success. No different than Umar Johnson talking about Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey. So like people like look at Marcus Garvey is doing something great, so he used that. I'm going to rebuild that. So now here comes Brother Reggie talking about ancient Egypt for the Hoteppers. Yeah, but most of Black society are not Hoteppers. So how you going to pitch it? And like, this is the arrogant part. How are you going to pitch this Egypt equivalence, this concept to modern FBAs who know nothing, don't care nothing about ancient Egypt? This only could work. Well, it was never planned to work. It's funny. This is called a Black City Plan, and it was planned to never work. It was just so Pan-Africanists and Hoteppers can anoint Brother Reggie as the leader of this small, infringed, nothing burger group. Like, really, like, how are you wowing the youth with Egypt was painted with gold, and we're gonna build? They're like, Egypt. Yeah, come on. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't reflect nothing that we see today. So his plan heavily references ancient Nile Valley models. Again, what the average Valley's Black American cares nothing about that. So you're going nowhere making that comparison to us. Like in a serious setting, that hits nothing. Like the Tulsa, Oklahoma hits harder, and even like the Marcus Garvey lie hits even harder. You're saying Nile Valley 1,000 years ago, and you're trying to get us back in Egypt. Anyway, his heavy references of ancient Nile Valley models are ridiculous, and they ignore contemporary Black-run municipalities, both successful and struggling. Got to compare something around. Okay, so there is more to learn from contemporary case studies, e.g., Prince George's County, MD, Maryland, Inglewood, California, or Jackson, Mississippi, right? So you can, so those are contemporary case studies, something in America, but he goes all the way 3,000 years ago to tomb paintings of Nubian traders to get us to see this Black City plan. He take us 3,000 years ago when you have Prince George's County, Maryland, Inglewood, California, and Jackson, Mississippi as contemporary case studies of his dream. But what's missing from this Black City plan? His first presentation: economic data modeling, land trusts, tax incentive strategies, municipal budget plans, youth employment strategies, public-private infrastructure partnerships. Look what else he misses. No clear governance framework. It's not clear who leads the Black City or how democracy works in it, but it's not clear because it's going to be him. But how does the democracy works in it, Brother Reggie? Will it be a Pan-African council? How about a how about a mayor or city council? But I know he's going to be all of it. Like Umar was everything and Garvey is everything. Will decisions be made through community assemblies or just Brother Reggie's finger? Decentralized vision without centralized coordination equals chaos, Brother Reggie. So a lot of these guys like to just say something, but they don't believe in what they're saying. They just want to seem smart and be propped up, so they can give their cash app tag out there. Hey, support this nothing burger, so I can make up perpetual excuses why it fails. So the Chakwi Lumumba model in Jackson, Mississippi was a rare example of combining radical Black governance with a policy and budgeting framework. And he didn't reference that. That's crazy. But it still faced major state pushback and funding shortfalls. So now watch this. What I said earlier, remember I said earlier about Soul City? And I said the white media came out and demonized it, undermined it, sabotaged it, what led to the funding to be cut short. Brother Reggie didn't pay. Obviously, he knows nothing about that. So he underestimates white supremacists' resistance and legal barriers because of that. So the plan doesn't prepare for institutional resistance, sabotage, legal challenges, or white vigilante action. Historically, any attempt by Foundation Black Americans to consolidate land, wealth, or political power has faced. What did it face, Brother Reggie? You don't know. Voter suppression, redistricting, infrastructure divestment, FBI infiltration, e.g. COINTELPRO, or a bunch of Hotepers just saying Hotep all day. So, for example, Black Wall Street was bombed. The move bombing in Philadelphia shows city governments will kill to stop Black self-determination, and we see the sabotaging of Rosewood. I mean, not Rosewood, Soul City. So it's like you gotta, if you want to do this, you gotta take this serious and then be really prepared for the backlash, the resistance of white supremacy. And he just undermines that. But he claims that this plan is built off his historical reference. Sure. Okay, so so he has some solid philosophical and strategic seeds within the Black City Plan. That's mainly because he's referencing that tax thing of somebody else. So he wants to center urban geography as the key to Black economic development. He wants to evoke a Pan-African legacy of civilizational power. He's trying to challenge the myth that power only comes through federal or national channels. He used Jane Jacobs' urban theory to challenge neoliberal economics. He likes to emphasize self-reliance, Black scholarship, and historical consciousness. All sounds great. So he should talk more about land acquisition strategies. Start with land trust co-ops or city purchasing programs to gain control of territory. Right, Brother Reggie? You should be talking about building a parallel governance model like the Zapatistas in Chiapas or Jackson's People Assemblies. Create democratic structures outside traditional city councils. How about use a real city as a pilot instead of like ancient Egypt, bruh? Choose a small city with high black populations and low investment and run the experiment. Document it. See, nobody wants proof of concept, family. Everybody just goes for the home run. Marcus Garvey, Umar, and Brother Reggie with their Black City sham plans. Nobody wants to start from a small uh, example. Like, for example, Umar could just start it with a small school out of, online school or small somebody's living room, somebody's basement, somebody's attic, somebody's garage, and see where it went from there and then track the success. Garvey could have just got 3 people back to Africa, or back to Liberia. He wants to take 22 million as his proof of concept. And Brother Reggie wants to take over Dallas, Texas, but can't take over a small, tiny city. That is the problem. They always go for the home run hitter because they want to wow you. Okay, now what he could do is, or what he should have suggested was draft a municipal policy blueprint, cover education, policing, public health, food systems, energy, and housing with policy, not poetry. Not poetry, brother. All that sounds great, man. Create an economic model, include tax structures, investment strategies, employment pipelines, and revenue generating enterprises. Okay, so the Black City Plan was just used as a powerful spiritual vision, right? Ideological, powerful spiritual vision, but functionally underdeveloped as a practical urban redevelopment plan. Without land, law, logistics, and legal structures, a Black city remains a symbolic idea rather than a sustainable model. And we're not falling for that in 2025. All right, let's see who's in the building. We got Let Get It 004. We got Maxwell Jenkins. We got Salita Marie. We have Ray in the building. We have the Mandalorian. We have JJ Mall, songwriter Sunny. We have Lord Mall, intuitively wise. I think some were getting grants from the government to build a bridge to nowhere. Doe Mac in the building. Long time, brother. He says they also selling beachfront property in Phoenix, Arizona. Golden Brown says when you have an incorporated city, you are under the regulations of the state government, but not incorporated cities are not under the government. We'll be wearing linens in this city. Right. Okay, I think I see somebody new in the chat. Let me go. For Lang in the building. These people see that we haven't been able to stop nothing that they ever do in this country, but will push a bunch of we gotta do this dumb shit. Right. Fucking this goofy shit. If FBA combo in the building. Oh yeah, I see ya. Whoa, as a Black American woman, Africans call leave me out of anything. That's what, exactly. Let me give Asia, if I'm saying her name correctly, Asia while a lineage wrench and make her a moderator. She could join the family, join her lineage. Carlos Magus, Braxton, Snake Fiend, Satchel Ohio, Baker Boy 3. I said for Lang already. If anybody sent the super chat, I'm gonna try to find it. If not, it's all good. I just make sure I don't miss it. Diane Fitzgerald said, "Why can't they just leave the land?" They are correct. Yeah, they got all the answers. They got all the answers. Right. Behind DJ Biggs piece, he says, Grand Rising to everybody, by the way. DJ Biggs says, behind every African and Caribbean immigrant to American organizations who are white people to help replace FBA BA from the original FBA communities, all about the money. It's all about the money, Troy Ave. So let me throw my Cash App in there in case somebody wanna, because I'm probably gonna be going live all day. So I want to do this quick one about Brother Reggie, Black City Plans. I'm going to end this. I'm going to end this by, who knows, 10, 11 o'clock, and then go live again, or who knows, 2, 3 o'clock. And I want to cover some Pan-African wars, because I got some interesting video on that. Very interesting. Y'all don't want to miss that one. But I don't want to tie all the videos together. And then later tonight, maybe we'll talk to the motivated Pan-Africanist that I spoke to last night. As long as he slows down, because he's one of those I'm not finished type brothers. Let me finish type brothers. So we got to slow him down. Okay. So Brother Reggie, he's going to elaborate more on this Black City Plan, Pan-African scam. Thank you, ma'am.
Tuskegee, who he envisioned the labor needed for Black cities, right? Mm-hmm. So he created vocational education. And Dr. Tyreen Wright, who has been on the show, is an expert on Booker T. Washington's Tuskegee experiment. Shout out to her. And then there is George Washington Carver, who became a scientist. And you know this figure of hidden figures. So all of this talent, right, is now in Black cities. But the problem is that since we are not creating municipal enterprises, they're being sucked to the predatory corporations. And Black people in those corporations have an expiry, and they have discrimination. So Black cities must launch Black city enterprises. And so what does that mean? So to answer your question, that means create community development corporations. And community development corporations or nonprofit community-based organizations focus on revitalizing the areas in which they are located, typically low-income, underserved neighborhoods that experience significant diversement. We do some of that. We don't do enough. These are the parts of it. Community land trust. Cities control land. Malcolm X says land is the basis of revolution. Well, when you can control land, then you could put things on your land. You could put schools on your land, right? You could put factories on your land. You could put stadiums on your land, right? You could put housing on your land, right? So corporations are mindful that they try to partner. Here's the thing. They try to partner with our cities in some regard for access to the land that they can't afford with their market value. So if they're trying to build a Barclays Stadium, or they're trying to build a Yankee Stadium, or any of these other stadiums in any of the cities, they go to the cities and say, look, we'll work with you. You give us the land with
family.
You give us the land, we build stadium, then there's income that's coming on the land. The problem with that is that the city should be in business of creating those stadiums for marketing their city's natural talents. And so I'll get into that. Another thing is cooperatives. Okay, so cities should spawn cooperatives. Cooperatives, you can see food cooperatives, you can see lots of different type of cooperatives where people pay by a membership for goods and services, and that goes back to the city. But what the city now says is, no, we'll just let BJ's and Costco come in. We'll let Lowe's and Home Depot come in. We'll let these, we're lazy. We're going to let these companies come in and we're going to get taxes. But these companies never pay their fair share of taxes.
Yeah.
So then it comes to food. Okay, so Black cities now are being held hostage to food, right? What we do is we let markets come in, like in New York, the Hunts Point food market and stuff like that. So all the corporations come in and the city makes money off of taxes instead of the city actually going into the food system business themselves.
Okay.
So then if all this stuff is working, then what it should work, and it works in white communities, right? Then there's they call employee stock ownership plans. So the employers who work for the city in these particular initiatives, they get ownership, right? But what happens for us now is that I'll stop sharing for a second. What happens now is that the corporations hire us. They offer us 401k. They manage our pensions. Our pensions are manipulated. We're always subject to what's happening in the stock market. So when the market crashes, we lose 30 to 40% of the stocks that we that we don't even know that we owned or had, instead of investing in cooperatives and these other kind of municipal projects where we know that, like for the Hunts Point Market, it feeds the city. It's never going to run out of money. It's never going to run out. But what we do is we just simply work for a company. Watch this. We work for a company that invests our money in other companies, and they make profit and loss because they're always buying and selling. And we don't invest in. We have no investment in the enterprises that serve our community. So these are some of the things in the Black City Plan. Yes, that is supposed to help Black people, but they're in white cities, and it's only because our city managers, our mayors, city officials, and all of them, they're of another generation, but people.
Okay. So let me just give some background on this guy before we get too crazy. All right, so this is Brother Reggie on my channel, right? He pulled up. Now look what he says right here. This is just background on this guy.
I've met Tariq Nasheed. He's my brother. I just disagree with some of his rhetoric. Even my professor, James Small, who worked closely with him, disagrees.
Is explaining what Foundation of Black American is and tell him I'm both.
Explaining what Foundation of Black American is and tell him I'm both.
Foundation.
Okay, so the reason I added that insert, because he just lied to me. He said his professor, his Baba Smalls, disagrees with Tariq and the whole FBA thing. And I just inserted a clip where Professor Smalls said he is FBA. So the dude just be lying for no reason. One more time. Let me go back, and he's going to say Professor Smalls disagree with Tariq coming up with Foundation Black Americans. And we hear the opposite.
Even I've met Tariq Nasheed. He's my brother. I just disagree with some of his rhetoric. Even my professor, James Small, who worked closely with him, disagrees.
Is explaining what Foundation of Black American is and tell him I'm both.
Explaining what Foundation of Black American is and tell him I'm both.
So he just said he's both. He's a Pan-Africanist and a FBA Foundation Black American. That's who Professor Small is and who he said he was. Close that door. So he just said, Brother Reggie just lied and said he disagrees with Tariq with FBA. He just said he is FBA and he's also Pan-African. But he goes further to say more. Check this out.
Foundation of Black American, that we have a right to identify ourselves.
He said Foundation Black American, he include himself in that we have a right to identify ourselves. So you just lied, Brother Reggie. He does not disagree with Tariq Nasheed.
In the same way any other ethnic group.
Even my professor, James Small, who worked closely with him, disagrees.
Even my professor, James Small, who worked closely with him, disagrees. Dr. Leonard Jeffries disagrees with his.
Okay, so he went on a tangent saying how everybody disagrees with Tariq Nasheed and us. So it ain't just Tariq Nasheed, it's us on the whole Foundation Black American self-identification, delineation approach to everything. But let's go over some things. Like he just said, oh my God, these dudes be thirsty, man. They be thirsty to be a leader. Like dudes be thirsty, and they're mad that people are in the way of them ever being leader. Now we're on code, like so. His dreams of being a leader is gone. The lineage is the leader, the code is the leader, and they're like that. Goddamn Tariq Nasheed. He made it impossible for anybody to assume leadership. Oh, he got to go. That's how these right here feel about Tariq. The same way Tyler felt about Kurt. That's how these guys feel about Tariq. Like, if it wasn't for that bastard, I would be the leader of the lineage. All right. So anyway, screen. Okay. So just now, when she said this, when she said, okay, well, wait, where's she at? And just now, when she said this right here, she said, we'll go further on this whole Black City plan, like right about here.
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
What, in terms of your city plan, what does it look like? Can you kind of walk us through like what exactly the Black City plan is?
Smile.
Sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. Knowing is full of shit. Sure. Like that's that false sense of confidence that they want to give people. So he gave an extended version of the breakdown this time. He expands on his earlier framework that we cooked earlier. So now he incorporated municipal enterprises, cooperative economics, land ownership, and city managed businesses as key pillars. Okay, whatever. All right. But that version is much richer in content, but it also becomes more just romanticizing Egypt. And that's it. Okay, so he talks about municipal enterprises. Cities, not just private companies, can operate revenue generating businesses. He talks about these can provide services, food, transport, goods directly to underserved communities. Profits are reinvested into community needs, school roles, and healthcare. Then he says, white cities do this too. Oh boy. He argues black run cities should replicate what white cities do, right? As though white cities face white opposition from white supremacists. He talks about community land trust. Control of land equals power. Cities should own and manage land through public trust, not sell it to private developers. Oh, shit. This keeps land affordable and under community direction for schools, co-op stadiums. He talks about community development corporations, CDCs, nonprofits that rebuild neighborhoods using local input and control. He says this is used to revitalize low income and black areas without outside gentrification forces. So that's his attempt to address that. Cooperatives. He says community owned grocery stores, housing, or utilities. Members buying in, profits stay local rather than going to national chains, e.g. Costco and BJ's. All right, he talks about employee stock ownership plans, ESOPs, right? He says employees, especially city workers, get ownership stakes in city-run businesses. This prevents corporations from controlling pension funds or clashing markets, hurting black wealth. So then he critiqued predatory capitalism. Oh shit. Black people are workers, not owners. Their pensions are tied to Wall Street, which profits off their labor but offers no control. City-led businesses are insulated from market crashes and speculation. But he goes over historical inspirations. He goes way back to Mansa Musa pilgrimage. He says economic and diplomatic power through wealth movement. Booker T. Washington, Tuskegee, vocational training as foundation of city labor. George Washington Carver, science and innovation rooted in black institutions. Okay, so he gives a more cohesive plan. Cities as engines of sovereignty. He ties it into Pan-African history to modern economics in a compelling narrative, right? Brother Reggie outlines concrete institutions this time, land trusts, co-ops, CDCs, municipal enterprises that have real world precedent and success stories, right? Did he critique corporate exploitation? names the system. Black people are exploited by corporations. Pensions are vulnerable. Cities give land to corporations, e.g., stadiums, and don't build for themselves. Here is the problem. Again, that all sounds great. There is no strategy for gaining political control of cities. He just be talking. Where is the strategy of gaining political control of the cities you speak about? Who's going to implement this plan if city officials and black mayors are of another generation, as he said, and don't understand municipal power? So he said the current city officials and black mayors are of another generation. So this is a new generational thought that he's pushing, and they don't understand municipal power. So then who's going to get them out of office and implement this black city Pan-African sham? Okay, so it's missing a political strategy for replacing or transforming local leadership with new, trained, and aligned individuals. It's just garbage, man. It's nothing burger. Political education, candidate training, and strategic elections must precede any implementation. Political education, candidate training, and strategic elections must precede any implementation. So where we are there, Brother Reggie. Again, no financial blueprint. No financial blueprint. Municipal enterprises and land trusts require initial capital, business plans, lawyers, and trained administrators. What is missing? How these cities fund the creation of co-ops, acquire land, or start food markets. Okay, you're missing that part. You didn't explain the plan for crowdfunding, community bonds, diaspora investments, philanthropic seed grants, public-private matching funds. Okay. And then you still ignore the legal and structural barriers. Okay. Even cities with black leadership are constrained by state law, capital markets, and gentrification forces. Cities cannot legally form certain businesses without state approval, my guy. Corporations often sue cities for economic interference, e.g., eminent domain, my guy. Okay, so partner with legal scholars to identify laws that must be changed or lobbied against. Okay, you gotta partner with legal scholars to identify laws that must be changed or lobbied against. He gives an overemphasis on metaphor and ancient history. He links every strategy back to Mansa Musa or Happy, HAPI, as powerful. He keeps tying us back to 3,000 years ago as powerful symbols, right? But it becomes less he can't persuade anybody with that in any policy circle. That's why I say, man, you can't go to 2025 people talking about Mansa Musa, Egypt, HAPI, Happy, and think we're gonna galvanize around that. He keep okay, so what you got to do is, bro, keep your ancient references out of the goddamn plan. Okay, rather lead with data, case studies, and models for investors, policymakers, and planners. Investors, policymakers, and planners, even like potential constituents, they don't want to hear about ancient Egypt, man, Mansa Musa. Like, why are we doing that? For what? No talent pipeline or training framework. Who will run the municipal enterprises, Brother Reggie? Who manages land trust? Where is the trained workforce? What's missing is a plan for vocational education, internships, and city-based training for cooperative economics. But you can fix it, though. You can fix it. You can partner with HBCUs, trade schools, and Black urban planners to create a workforce ready to govern. Where is your phased timeline or pilot strategy? And then here's the problem that all of them had. They talk all this great stuff, but they never have a phased timeline or pilot strategy. Like when did this when does it start? By what time is it? If it start in 2025, are you ready to abandon shit by 2028? When you see nothing is going your way and it's just falling apart, or do you do a Umar and be holding something for 15 years, and when you see it, you spiral out of control? So, as you can see, the issue is unclear how or where this plan starts. Is Detroit the test case? Is there a phase one or phase two, Brother Reggie? But you can fix it. Start with a 5-year timeline, something Umar didn't do. One city or neighborhood. Start with one city or neighborhood, not all the black cities in the damn country. Measurable metrics, jobs created, food cost reduction, housing stability, right? So, political infrastructure, local candidate pipeline, anti-corruption training, infrastructure, economic power, municipal bank or black-led CDFI, housing strategy, energy infrastructure, community land trust, plus anti-gentrification zoning laws, solar co-ops or black-owned microgrids, youth employment, city sponsorship, apprenticeships, and green tech trades co-ops. Media control. You need that. You need media control, buddy. Municipal or co-op owned communications, radio, local TV. And guess what? You need some Johnny Cochran's legal defense fund to fight lawsuits from developers and corporations who's going to sue you when you try to block them out from investing in your black city. Okay. So, Brother Reggie's expanded Black City plan is a necessary ideological correction to decades of disempowerment Black urban policy, right? Because he's trying to address an issue. But it needs a practical engine, not rhetoric, not romanticizing Egypt and Mansa Musa and happy. It needs legal armor, trained divers, and a roadmap to actually move. When is it going to get started, bro? So as it stands, this is just a strong philosophical clarity. He talks about solid institutional suggestions, but it lacks execution, like Marcus Garvey, like Umar. It all sounds good. Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and the punch in the mouth is symbolic to executing the plan. So, Brother Reggie's Pan-African Black City plan, sham, scam, thank you, ma'am, lacks execution, funding, legal prep, and timelines. In other words, it's a nothing burger. Another nothing burger. God is Yemaya. Hey y'all, yeah, definitely please like the video. You know how we do. Well, you know how you guys don't do. I gotta motivate you and inspire you. I know you're on your phone, using your phone. Just hit that X, press like, and then come back to the comment section. Good. Okay, so I'm just reading some of the comments, see where we at. Fair question. Carlos Maggis says, nah, I'm not with light skin, including myself, making business to put our people to see I'm better off playing my role, which learn, stay out of the way, stay on code, simple. Reggie, Dr. DJ Big says Reggie was raised into a Latino home. He already exposed that and holds a grudge with, hurt that his family were not able to keep the land in Virginia. He needs family therapy. Oh, so he one of those dudes. He one of those dudes. Baker Boy says R.I.P. Chancellor Williams. I agree with Goddess Yemaya. She says, please share, comment, definitely share. Yashar Napash says, peace and blessing, grand rising, peace and blessing to you. Intuitively wise, I agree with you, Lord Maul. They haven't realized they are American citizens and should be concerned with the Black American development, right? Everything's like Africa 3,000 years ago. That's going to be our example of doing great in America. I don't recall the Egyptians or Mansa Musa dealing with white supremacy, systemic racism. You dig? Right wing and left wing. Ray Ray said Tariq is a problem, but not Brother Polite. Yeah, they were fans of that guy, fanboys. Intuitively wise says, so I think we should look at Brother Reggie as a circle that don't fit in the square. He's not going to stay on the square. Yeah, well, you could say I mean, if you can't even keep it real about Baba James Smalls admitting he's FBA, and you're just saying, oh, he disagrees with Tariq Nasheed. Like at that point, you just a failure. Like and you're mad that you'll never be a leader of anything tangible or no people with a sound mind. Salida Marie said, I never could follow any of those nutty Pan-African fools. They never did anything that moved me to yeah. No, they just a lot of glory, a lot of romanticizing Egypt and Africa, and they're in denial of what needs to be done in America, out independent of anybody from Africa. And no history in Africa can help us out today. Like what we're dealing with today, Africa never seen before. All right. Africa was always fighting themselves. They didn't fight a whole op that looks completely different than them. They always fought themselves. So if you're fighting yourselves, that solution should be way more easier. When you fight somebody who don't look like you and they got power over you, that's a real fight there. Okay, I'll get another one. Go sit over there, meet you another one. Let me charge this up.
A new one.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. The roof new one.
Okay, here, bring it over there so it don't be too loud. Nope. There's toothpaste. Here you go. There's a brush your teeth thing. Go. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to end this video right here. We're gonna pick back up on Diaspora Wars. I got a dope video, which I don't even know where it's going, but I like where it started. So a white professor, I think in a college setting, had it's called Africans, Caribbean, and Foundation Black Americans, but he said African American, but we know what he meant. And it was interesting. That's an interesting title with a white guy. So he got people from the school to represent each location, like each ethnic group. Then he had a lily white guy come down and try to distinguish who from who, and he really couldn't. So, and that was a professor point. He was like, "Hey, man, they're all black, but they're different." He said, "What we do is we group them all together as black, and not respecting their differences, their cultural differences." So he started to ask each student, "What are they?" So somebody said Ghana, somebody said the islands. Then we had some Foundation Black Americans said they're here. Lineage is here. So the white folks and the Spanish and then everybody in the audience was kind of like, "Wow, like they all look alike, but they're totally they don't look alike, but they kind of look similar, but they're totally different." And here come the Ghanaian the college student. "Well, I'm Ghanaian, but technically I'm from Africa and I live in America, so I'm like African American." And that's what I was trying to tell a Pan-African guy last night. Like, no. Because he's sold on African American is like our identity. And I don't know what research he's reading, but he thinks John Henry Clark pushed for African American. I'm like, oh, God. Dude, get your pen and paper, man. You're going to learn a lot when you pull up over here. So I sent him the link to this live. Hopefully he's watching. And hopefully he don't do the let me finish stuff. Like, make a point, ask a question, stay silent, let me go in. When you talk, let me ask a question, same vice versa. But he's gonna really struggle with Garvey because he really thinks Garvey is Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He's gonna struggle with that one. He's also gonna struggle with the early Pan-Africanists, right? Who he calls Pan-Africanists. Because I'm like, dude, if they're all Pan-Africanists, then they all practice Pan-Africanism totally different from each other. That was my fault. What am I doing over there? That's not what I want to do. All right, family. So Renaissance woman just checked in while they telling us we are the same nigga. They need to be uniting over there. It's facts. So I just gave peace to Pinky Well. So I just gave you guys a sneak peek when I go live in a few, like maybe an hour or two. We're recovering. We're gonna cover that, and then we got some diaspora wars where folks are acting crazy, and we need to assess that. So the family appreciate you. The did I put my I could have sworn I put the Cash App in there. Let me see. I know I did. I didn't pin it. So if anybody that wants to Cash App there for you guys, and I'm out of here, family. Diamond, peace. But hang in there. I'm going live shortly, maybe an hour or two, on that study I was telling you about, and then some Pan-Africanism, and then some diaspora wars. Right. So I appreciate everybody who pulled up to hear the Black City Plan Pan-African sham scam. Bam wham. Thank you, ma'am. And we're gonna leave on the outro of the FBA national anthem.
That show me subscribe.
Make no mistake, we're the only black people in y'all that only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks, y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Bitch. We built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. You ain't wanna get down, now you around, hating, faking, with the linear in and out, the ground shaking. Someone say, FBI, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBI, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Make no mistake, we're the only black people and y'all the only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks, y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Breaks, pops, pop. We built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. Y'all ain't wanna get down, now you around, hating, faking, with the linear eating, now the ground shaking. Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say,
Right. Let me get a microphone check. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do a quick live. I'm out and about. Take a little walk. You dig? Nice cool night. And I was gonna make I will eventually make a video, like a real presentation on this. But I said, let me just give a rough draft of some things that's important, because there's a lot of confusion going on with the language, and it's very important we straighten out the language. So as you can see, when I was so-called debating people, and they're confused, right, and everything, and they got disingenuous questions, bad faith questions, things like that, and then they're using black for themselves, and these are people who are non-FBAs, and I see, okay, this is the confusion, especially when they talk to like people not outside of myself. When they talk to you guys, when they talk to Jason Black, she, my boy, ex-architect, all you guys need to check them on Black. So I was watching a little bit of Tariq Nasheed versus the Barbs. And then Dan finally said something to one of those Barbs. He was like, nah, you ain't black, or Nikki ain't black, something like that. I'm like, thank you. Because the confusion is they're calling themselves black and we're not checking them. We're letting them call themselves black. So now they're confused on why we're delineating amongst black people. You feel me? So to them, it makes no sense. They're like, yo, why are you delineating from black people? We're black. You are black. That's why I take that from them immediately. I snatch that flying carpet from their feet so they can fall back down to earth. You're off their high horse. You're not black. You said Nikki was Trinidadian, Cardi B, or Dominican, whatever. That's exactly what you are. And then you got to correct them and educate them. Listen, you think we're using black from a skin tone. Remind them, Beyonce is considered black, and so is Jay-Z, and their lovely daughter. And none of them are dark skinned, okay? Denzel Washington's black, he's not dark skinned. So we're not using black to describe how we look physically. That's how Arabs and that's how colonizers use black as a derogatory term and to describe a color of the people they're attempting to colonize. So you got the Arabs who call the Sudanese people Balad Sudan. Okay, the dark people of Sudan, the black people of Sudan. Adjective, descriptor, color. Okay. Now, when your ops call you a name and define it for you, you can do two things. You can accept it or reject it. You dig? So Sudanese people, so when your ops name you something, that name is called an ethnonym. Now, how you receive that name determines if it's a exonym or endonym. You copy, you dig. Okay. Let me fly this plane. Okay, buckle up. Now, Sudanese people took on the name and the definition of the Arabs. That's called an exonym. They took on the name and the definition of their oppressor. Okay? And they have that name till today. All right? They're called Sudanese people. Exonym. When I argue, I'm saying we're the only people on earth to use a color. So it's a couple things here that I'm making. So you got to pay attention. I'm making a claim that we're the only people to use a color outside of its adjectiveness, if I can say that, outside of its descriptor usage. And we're using it as a noun, but not any old noun, N-O-U-N, not any old noun, but a proper noun. So we're forcing the world to put the respect on black and capitalize it. Everybody else that would call black, their B were not capitalized, it's lowercase. I say big B, little b. Okay, so even with that, so the confusion last time with sis, when I was explaining that, even with that, the little b doesn't count because none of those guys today call themselves by that name, little b, today anyway. So if they did take this descriptive term, they still rejected the little b. Okay. Right. But that's not what my claim is. My claim is we are the only Black people, proper noun, person, place, or thing. It is capitalized. That's a big difference than a descriptor adjective word. Okay. We're not describing shit. We're defining and explaining who we are, our unique experience, unique ethnogenesis. Okay. So when people got around to name themselves, they didn't take on Black. Okay, that was given to them by an outsider, Europeans or Arabs. When they had a chance to name themselves, it was not Black. It was terms like names like Ghana, names like Eritrean, names like Jamaican or Jamaica, Haiti, Haitian. Okay, Jamaican. This is what they called themselves when they had a chance to name themselves. They didn't name themselves after a color and use it in a proper noun sense. Okay? So when people say they're Black Brits right now in the UK, that ain't the Black how we use Black. They're describing themselves how they look. They're describing what kind of Brit they are. You dig? And this comes way after our usage, of course. Now, these so-called Black Brits, they have another name. What's the other name? They named themselves, they understand they're West African. They understand they're Nigerian. So with that understanding being on the table, you're out. We don't have a second name. We're just Black. We're Black America. There's no second name. There's no, okay, so Black Brit, right? And they'd be like, yeah, West Africa, Nigeria. Like, all right, nigga, you Nigerian. Okay, Black Brit, you Nigerian, bro. Living in Britain, UK. You're not Black. You're just copying off of us. You're not doing it right. You don't understand that we don't have another term outside of Black. Just like Haitians don't have another term out of being Haitian. Jamaicans, I would assume Jamaican. So forth and so on. Now, we know that white people continue to name people things. Like the West Indies. That's the white man influence. Okay? And then we have, oh yeah, it's cold. It's not ridiculous, but it is cold. Yeah. So anyway, I was trying to my son was waking up. So that's why I get away from it. I go live. He's gonna wake up. Obviously, right? Especially how loud I get. Okay. So yeah, they're not Black. They're using it the way they think we use it, but they're just Nigerian. And they're using Black as a sense to erase their past. Like, dude, you're Nigerian. You're not going to recreate yourself over here in the UK in the 1990s, the 2000s, 2010. That's when they got there. These guys are calling themselves Black Brit. They just got there. No, literally, they just got there. They're either daughters and sons of so either their parents are direct immigrants or they're second gen. Okay, so either their parents are direct immigrants or they're second gen at most, at latest. They're second gen. They recently just got the hell Black about you, bro. You African, you West African, you're Nigerian. All right, be Nigerian. Be proud tonight. Be proud to be Nigerian. Okay. So, real easy. We're the only Blacks in that we named ourselves Black. We gave it its own definition. It's a proper noun. It fits it checks all the boxes to be an ethnonym. right? Jamaican is a proper noun. Haitian, Congolese, Eritrean. So black, when we use black, it checks all the boxes of other ethnonyms. Okay. Okay. Hopefully we're getting somewhere. I mean, I didn't plan on going live at all, but I trust my phone about to die. I gave it like 40%. We can do a quick live to get all this out the way. So that's what we mean by we're the only black. All right, nobody else is black because they're literally not black. They are literally from their country and they're named after their country, their language, or their tribe. Literally, they're not black. Like I said, the black Brits are Nigerian. Okay? And they're not going to deny that. They're going to say, yeah, West African Nigerian. Okay? Black Brits and shit they made up. Cosplay us. That's why it's important that we do not acknowledge them as black in conversation, especially when it's a debate. You're muddying you wonder why you're struggling. It's because you're letting them allow them to call themselves black, which makes the argument stupid. Because they're looking like, hey, I'm one of you. And you're saying they are not. They're like, wait, aren't you black? Aren't I black? We're the same. Okay. And even when they use it like that, they're using it as a racialized term. They're not even using it as an ethnonym, even when they use it in that sense. Let me ask Google something. How did the U.S. Give me a second. Let me type this in. Oh man, I got this African clicking and popping. Oh, I gotta show that before it is live. I mean, this guy was fluent. The caption is, "This is the hardest language to write down." He's clicking and popping. Of course it is. How do you write down a click and a? How do you write this down? Like, how do you write this down? Like, how do you write this down? Like, how do you start to spell that? It's the hardest. Really? Good luck with that shit. You're not writing that down. Okay. That's your damn mind. But it's gonna be funny when I show the guy, because he was going in. And yo, it is really freezing. It's gotta be like 27 degrees on the low end. Okay. So I asked, how did the US government define black in the 1970s? Not how we define it, how did they come behind and define it? Because we called ourselves black in the late 50s and early 60s. They hopped on board and called us black from their own way. Okay. So it says the US government did not have a single universal definition for black in 1970. Okay. That applied across all contexts, but in federal reporting and the census, it generally used categories based on origin or ancestry. For the 1970 census, most Americans filled out their own forms, and black was one of the available categories, not African American. Black was there. Like I said, you guys not ready. You're not ready, man. Run your mouth. You're not ready. Okay. So let's morph into that now. So I explained who's black, who's not black. Okay, so in conversations, even if you even pull up on Jason Black or Tariq Nasheed or Afro Elite, politely tell them, hey man, that person not even black. Like, just call them, ask them where they're from, and call them after their homeland, which they do. Okay, when they take their ass back to Zimbabwe, they're not saying they're black. They're saying Zimbabwean. Okay, oh, they're only black magically when they get here. When they want some tangible money's allocated, all of a sudden they're black. Okay. Anyway, so I got to catch. If somebody can, yeah, if somebody can email me if you're up and I'm up. If somebody can email me whenever Tariq's on Twitter or whatever, if y'all can email me the direct link to click it, I don't care how late it is. If I'm up, I'll click it. If I'm not up, I'm not gonna click it. Real simple. But the next time he's up late on Twitter or TikTok, and he's fending off some Heathers and Coons and white supremacy, send me an email copy the link, send me an email and say, put in the title the subject Tariq's Live. You dig? My email is so easy to remember. Black, not African, okay? Black think tank at yahoo.com. I made up this email in the early 2000s. Okay, black think tank at yahoo.com. Okay, so black. We got weirdos that's online. But I was at somebody's channel watching them debate. You know what I mean? Just peeking in. Normally, when I go to people's channels, I don't say nothing. I just watch. I said, okay, let me say something just for that. You know what I mean? And of course, I became the focus. Like they stopped watching the debate. All the comments about the debate stopped in the chat, and everything was focused on me. It's like, I'm like a little chatter celebrity. Like, all right, well, shit. Maybe I need to start conducting myself a little differently. Like these folks out here really got me as like a leader too. And very shortly they're gonna be saying I'm the leader. But that's how they treat me. Like they going to my Facebook. Oh, he's from Newark. No, he's from this city in Plainfield. Why do you care? What is that going to change? What you gonna pull up? Hey, you better say you're African American. Shit, you got a gun. Hey, I'm African American for today. For this live stream, I'm African American. You got that gun or knife, sir? That damn pipe bomb, that cocktail. You dig? Yeah, I'm that for tonight. You dig? Yeah, that it means that much to you. Like, yeah, so these guys are treat me like a damn celebrity, like a chatter celebrity. Like the second time I went to a chat to not debate, just comment on the topic, right? The video is being played. And I become the focal point. So I'm like, okay. People started to put some respect on the name. And then you'll see the people who would normally talk trash about me quiet. It works the other way too. The people who would normally gossip on panels when I come in the chat, they like either staying quiet or they like saluting me with a salute emoji. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, so they go to my Facebook picture and they see me with a red, black, and green, like a little something behind, like some bullshit behind my head, some red, black, and green. Oh, look, he used to be red, black, and green. Now he's okay. First of all, I was never like, you can't find no videos where I'm all in on red, black, and green. Like you'll see an image, you might see me with a dashiki, okay? And that's the thing, family. They think because we embrace something for the moment that we were down for 10, 20 years and no, weirdos. I wore dashiki. I might wear it again. Who knows? I might wear another one. That don't mean I'm Pan-African. That don't mean I'm down with the cause of Pan-Africanism. Oh, red, black, and green behind that. Bro, do you see the picture? Do you see how young I look? Do you see how many braids I got in my hair, you fool? Why don't you go see the date on the picture? And again, that don't symbolize, oh, Ron, Ron, he was a Pan-African. Yeah, all right. You let me know the circles of Pan-African that I was around and knew. Ask what Pan-African out there on earth had me in their group and we talking about someone, we gotta buy the block back in Africa. Yo, we should start selling fly swatters and deodorant in Africa. Yo, we make a lot of money. Like, come on, bro. Stop. So, but like I already knew those pictures there. I'm not gonna take them down. Like, yeah, for what? See, taking something down will signify you got something to hide. No, you leave it up. And like, unless if you were a Pan-African, so what? You know better now. You did. I was in the Nation of Islam, the organization, registered Muslim, Ron X. Was, that's past tense. Oh man, look, we found his photo of he got a bow tie, a bean pie in his hand. Oh, we expose you. Really? Okay, so, but even still, we accept that you can be a Pan-African and FBA. Now we don't know how that really works, but we accept those two things can be true, and that's not a contradiction. You can be both, because a Pan-African is an ideology that does not work. It's a failed ideology, and FBA is your lineage. That's the name of your lineage. Like a Jamaican can be a Pan-African, an Italian can be a goddamn poker player, whatever they want to be. They can be that. Okay, that they don't take away from how you were born. So no, FB is not an ideology. It's not a theology, not a doctrine like Pan-Africanism is, or the Nation of Islamism is. It's not like that. All right. Yeah, they're gonna expose me. Okay. Anyway, so FBA, let's get there now. So stop letting them say they're black. Check them immediately. Like, ask them when they become black. Ask them where they're from, and once they give you their homeland, like, aren't you? Oh, you from Kenya? So aren't you Kenyan? Yeah, but I'm black too. Okay, but how long have you been calling yourself Kenyan? I don't know. They're gonna look dumb. Then you're gonna say, well, wasn't as long as the country was named Kenya, right? When it was named Kenya, it had residents, and the residents were citizens. It had citizens, and the citizens were named Kenyans, right? Okay. When did you become black? That's the next question. Okay, so when did you become black? Let me help you out. It had to be after 1960. You know how I know why? You know how I know why? Because nobody called themselves black and defined it before us. Before the Black Power, Black and Proud movement. Okay? So we know it's after 1960. That means it's after us. So if we called ourselves something, how did you get to become that? Did you ask us? You just took it. That's how that works. Chop, chop. Okay. That's not how that works. There's levels to this. Okay. Make sure my audio good. Got it. Now let's start with the slave trade. Yes, Africans sold Africans. So this weirdo, and yo, they are really butthurt, and they really have a thing for me. They feel like I have a strong voice in this space. That's how they feel. Like I look at myself as just another voice amongst 43 million FBAs. They see my voice as a strong voice. The dude was the dude Shah's son, the dude that got ADHD, he all hyper shit, can't shut up. He's on that other channel where I was at. Hey, yeah, you said I was wrong. You said I was wrong when I said Africans weren't majority the people selling Africans. I said, no, you were wrong. He said, I said they had involvement. Yeah, but they had most of all the involvement. They had most of the involvement. They had most of the involvement. Yeah, Europeans play a little role in the Africans. When I say role, I'm talking about selling and kidnapping, slave raiding. So. Let's be specific. The Europeans' role in the transatlantic slave trade as sellers and slave raiders, minimum, low. Okay, that role was almost exclusively just Africans. Large percentage of slave raids, large percentages of the selling were Africans. Then you ask this question. So you mean tell me white folks were selling Africans to themselves? So why is it called the all right, dude. Okay. Come on, man. All right. And like he really wants to like let's debate. Okay. Oh, your son, like never seen my son day in his life. But yeah, oh, your son. Like grown ass man talk about a little 4-year-old. They never seen him. A grown man is getting on a 4-year-old because he is a liar when it comes to Africans' role in selling us to white people. He's gonna talk about a 4-year-old. So I said, you know what? Thank you for saying it. You cannot just get the blocking because I was going to entertain you one more time, not on my channel. I said the channel we were on. I was going to entertain him and beat him up real fast, but not on my channel. He's not going to waste no time on my channel. So I said, good. You gave me a reason to block you and ignore you forever. Good. Now go away. Okay. So after we were sold in the millions, 12 to 15 million, all right, to Europeans. Okay. So that started the diaspora. We were dropped off during the diaspora. Out of 12 to 15 million, only 385,000, around that much, were sent to America. That's it. And guess what? Some didn't stay in America. So the slave ships, when they came to America, not everybody who got off the slave ships qualifies as FBA. You know why? Because some of them got shipped out they stopped here and got back on another boat and went to the islands or went to Brazil somewhere, okay? And they became that. The ones who remained here and went through U.S. chattel slavery, that is the start of the conversation of being FBA. Okay, so if somebody was truly here and people were here when we got here, if they didn't experience U.S. chattel slavery, they're not FBA. They're just who they are. Right? That's all. They are our pals. They're our allies, I guess. But that's it. They're not FBA. So if somebody want to say they were already here and they didn't experience chattel slavery, hey, fine. You're not FBA. You are exactly who you say you are. No different than a Jamaican or Haitian or Kenyan, Irish person. Let's go further. So the ones who got thrown into U.S. chattel slavery, it wouldn't matter if it was those who came off the slave ships, those free black. The term is free blacks, by the way. The term is not free Africans. Hello? The ones who were bought out of slavery or got out of slavery but were not emancipated, these folks were not called freed Africans or you African booty scratchers. They were called free blacks in history. Okay? So you were bought out of slavery, you bought yourself out of slavery, you were born free, born out of slavery. So I'm saying bought, B-O-U-G-H-T, bought out of slavery.
Baya ko kereket ako baya ko ako ale baya ngun mama ko baya ama ko kwa ale baya chama ko ta kasa ko umina ko konde mako sa baya akadi jama ka Haitamo tafa koko baya ko akulupuko sa kena le tanya ina yo ta kate ta tanya ina kabo ale baya ko odako sa cha kwa les no tanya ina baya ko joy ka joy kwa no tanya yo ta kate ta tanya ina ale
Slavery by somebody else. You bought yourself out of slavery. You were born out of slavery. You were not enslaved when you were born.
Les no tanya
Like grown ass man talk about a little 4-year-old. They never see them. A grown man is getting on a 4-year-old because he is a liar when it comes to Africans' role in selling us to white people. He's gonna talk about a 4-year-old. So I said, you know what? Thank you for saying it. You cannot just get the blocking because I was going to entertain you one more time, not my channel. I said the channel we were on. I was going to entertain him and beat him up real fast, but not my channel. He's not going to waste no time on my channel. So I said, good. You gave me a reason to block it and ignore you forever. Good. Now go away. Okay. So after we were sold in the millions, 12 to 15 million, all right, to Europeans. Okay. So that started the diaspora. We were dropped off during the diaspora. Out of 12 to 15 million, only 385,000, around that much, were sent to America. That's it. And guess what? Some didn't stay in America. So the slave ships, when they came to America, not everybody who got off the slave ships qualifies as FBA. You know why? Because some of them got shipped out they stopped here and got back on another boat and went to the islands or went to Brazil somewhere, okay? And they became that. The ones who remained here and went through U.S. chattel slavery, that is the start of the conversation of being FBA. Okay, so if somebody was truly here and people were here when we got here, if they didn't experience U.S. chattel slavery, they're not FBA. They're just who they are, right? That's all. They are our pals. They're our allies, I guess. But that's it. They're not FBA. So if somebody want to say they were already here and they didn't experience chattel slavery, Hey, fine. You're not FBA. You are exactly who you say you are. No different than a Jamaican or Haitian or Kenyan, Irish person. Okay, let's go further. So the ones who got thrown into U.S. chattel slavery, it wouldn't matter if it was those who came off the slave ships, those who were already here, or some aliens that fell out of a UFO. If they all experienced U.S. chattel slavery, right, and were either emancipated or freed, one of four ways, they got bought out of slavery, became a free black. The term is free blacks, by the way. The term is not free Africans. Hello? The ones who were bought out of slavery or got out of slavery but were not emancipated, these folks were not called freed Africans or you African booty scratchers. They were called free blacks in history. Okay? So you were bought out of slavery, you bought yourself out of slavery, you were born free, born out of slavery. So I'm saying bought, B-O-U-G-H-T, bought out of slavery by somebody else. You bought yourself out of slavery. You were born out of slavery. You were not enslaved when you were born free, or through meritorious manumission. Maybe some good acts. Slave master felt like, all right, bro, you did enough. Let you free. Or maybe you snitched on somebody else, but that's all meritorious manumission. One of those four ways you could have shortened your slavery, a little earlier, prior to Emancipation Proclamation. But they're called free blacks in history. They're not called free Africans. So take that mental note. Okay, going further. These people, again, became free blacks, and others, the majority, were enslaved on a plantation somewhere in the South, even though there's a nice number up north. There's a nice number. There's a nice number up north somewhere. You feel me? Okay, so those free blacks, some of them wanted to leave the country. They thought it was better somewhere else. So some of them went to across Sierra Leone, just different parts of Africa. They did. That's what they did. They felt like it'd be different over there somehow, and they learned very fast. These guys are compromised. These guys signed treaties. They validated white supremacy. All right. So of course, a lot of them returned. At the same time, you had the ACS going on, the American Colonization Society. Yes, they had a colony in Africa and Liberia, right? They bought it. And in their mind, they felt like free blacks were going to be a headache because they're out here buying property, they're out here living big during the height of slavery, living big. And they feel like, hey, these guys are going to be asking for rights, citizenship, all type of stuff. So let's go ahead and like they can already feel that they're also inciting just their presence of being free around enslaved people. They're inciting those enslaved people to not want to be enslaved anymore. So a possible rebellion. By the way, it was about 300,000 to 400,000 free blacks. Yeah, that number. I didn't study. 300 to 400,000 free blacks at that time. Okay. All right. So with that being said, ACS, they said, okay, we're going to ship these free blacks to Liberia. So this colony, we're going to act like it is so beautiful. It's the promised land. This is your freedom. We're going to paint this narrative that this is the next step, but it won't be in this country, right? 400,000 free blacks, they were not buying it. What the ACS did, they were not help, but we're going to free other enslaved blacks from plantation, but on one condition, that they go to Liberia. Otherwise, on the plantation. All right, of course, they paint a picture that it was like kind of like Marcus Garvey saying he's gonna ship people to Liberia with these fancy big old cruise ships. And that's a very tiny number compared to 300, 400,000, right? So they started to war with the natives there. They went there, you know, obviously the ACS was like putting the Americo-Liberians, they were called at that time. They started to put them in position of leadership, things like that, purposely trying to stir up some issues there, which worked. So they started to have beef with the natives. They tried to do some Hutus, Tutsi, Rwanda genocide thing. It didn't get that message, but they did have some fallout. So now we have the Civil War approaching, right? So all of those free blacks, not all, but a lot of the free blacks left the country to go find some residence in Africa because they believed the grass was greener until they got there. They realized, well, these guys colonized, compromised, and worse because these guys got a white supremacist mindset, right? Anyway, once word got back to them that the Civil War will indeed happen, and there's a chance to fight for your freedom and citizenship. All those fake Pan-African, all going to the motherland, not all, but a large majority brought their butt right back over here to fight for citizenship and liberty, emancipation, to be emancipated. Okay, so now those free blacks were free, but they were not emancipated. What's the difference between an emancipated black and a free black? A free black still don't have rights, still don't have citizenship. He's still not seen as an American. An emancipated black, that person is protected under the Constitution, at least on paper. So they become a full American, a full citizen. That's the difference between a free black who freed themselves or got freed or married to his manumission, and were no longer enslaved, from an emancipated black. The 1865. So history tells you that we helped fight the war. We kicked the Confederates ass, the South ass, and we became emancipated. We were free. Okay. Now from there, we had Black Reconstruction, not African Reconstruction, not African American Reconstruction. That period, when we start to put ourselves in the position of mayors, governors, congressmen, congresswomen, we were seen as, or that period was called Black Reconstruction. So stay with me. Free blacks, Black Reconstruction. All you keep hearing in the beginning, black, 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 black. Okay. So now on paper and legally, we would call it Negroes of color. All right. So after that, KKK rolls up. Shortly after that, ended Black Reconstruction, and now we have the system of Jim Crow. 100 years of that, a lot of bull crap came out of that, and now we're in post-integration, post-Jim Crow now, 1968. Okay, now that period that became Jim Crow, that is known as the Black Civil Rights African, or the black man. Dr. King said he's proud to be black. So now black is taking on positive attributes. Okay. No longer the black is bad, evil, black magic, voodoo, and all that type of stuff. Superstition is taking on positive attributes. Okay. Black and beautiful. Black and proud, James Brown. Black power, Stokely Carmichael. Black American heritage flag, Marvin Charles in 1967. You see? So the Black American Heritage flag even came up during that time in the 1960s. Everybody, black, 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 black. And a little bit earlier than that, you had the Black Renaissance, not the African American Renaissance, the Black Renaissance. Okay. You had Black banks. You had Black Wall Street. I recall W.E. Du Bois writing a book called The Souls of Black Folk. Not the souls of Africans, or not the souls of African Americans, but the souls of Black folk. Black, biggity black, biggity, biggity, biggity black. Okay, all day long. That was the language. And then in 1970, the government took Black and made it the racialized term for us when it comes to collecting data for the census. But let me just say, oh, the NOI, the Nation of Islam, they were All right, all right, all right. I don't know if I don't know if the screen stopped sharing or what, but let me see. Let me take over from here. Let me see if the screen, yeah, the screen stopped sharing. Did y'all hear that dude with the clicks and pops? Y'all thought I was exaggerating when I did all those noises. That's exactly how he sounded. But okay, so so hold on, 1 second. All right, so Happy New Year. You did a little light, little lives. You did little replays. I played the replays over and over. I want this to sit in your head. I want this information to sit in your head. Okay. So now, don't let them tell you about African American heritage. There's no such thing as that. There's nothing tied to that in this country. They made that shit up in 1988, 89. So anything that happened after that, that's your African American heritage. So that's the crack epidemic. That's mass incarceration. That's all that stuff to follow afterwards. The 94 crime bill, school to prison pipeline, all of that is your African American heritage. Everything before then, before that name was brought to our existence here in America, everything before that was black heritage. So don't let them trick you out of your spot. All this African American garbage. No, that's all black heritage, okay? Black Reconstruction, Black heritage, not African Reconstruction. All that stuff is Black heritage. But these fools lie to you. African American heritage. Ask them, what is that? Okay? Because I don't recall anybody being called African American at that time. That word, those words don't get no credit for all those accomplishments, all those wins, all those W's. No, African American is confusing. First of all, it's a nothing burger. There's nothing tied to it besides the crack epidemic, mass incarceration. Okay, that's it. Jim Crow point 2.0. That's your African American. Give me. So after the term was introduced in 1988, what was our feat? What did we accomplish? What was great? Everything was under black, even hip hop. Okay, what did African American bring you? Drill music, trap music. Let's think about it. Again, this is why they don't call in. They know, all right? They know. Nothing came under of any substance came under African American. The best thing they the best thing they got, their only W under African American was ADOS and FBA. That's their only W that came under this name, African American. ADOS and FBA. So African American is the new term. You feel me? Black was always here. Jesse Jackson introduced African American to replace the old term, black. So when we say foundational black American descendants of slavery, we're not bringing anything new. We're bringing back the old. There was nothing wrong with black. It was tied to beautiful things. Dr. King, he said he's black and beautiful. Kwame Ture, before he switched up on us, black power. All right. Malcolm X, the black man is God. Okay. James Brown, he's black and proud. Black, biggity black, bliggity black. The yo white boys and the bliggity black Tevich. Black Britons, no, you're not Black Britons. You are Nigerians and you're folks from the Caribbean. You're not black. You are from your homeland. Your homeland has a name, a language, a culture, and a flag. You are that. Right? You're not black. Our culture is black. Everything about it, our food is black. Our food is called soul food. You dig? That's black. Somebody said something earlier. It was what they say. So It's the Black Panthers, not the African American Panthers. Okay. Who said? Somebody said something earlier. It said black something. What's it? Dang. But everything great, and our W's were under black. Why would anyone want to disconnect us from black? Somebody said earlier that Jesse Jackson had good intentions. How do you tell somebody got good intentions? Like, to prove somebody is racist in this country, you got to prove intent. How okay. This is why people don't call in. The hardest thing to prove is intent. You can't say Jesse Jackson or anybody had good or bad intentions. You could only speculate. You could say I think, but you couldn't stamp it. I'm like Jesse Jackson was the first honorary tether used against us. I believe they used Jesse Jackson to undermine and disconnect us from black, introduce a more softer word that is brand new, that has no connection to this country at all, and to tell us we're African American. What is that? What comes behind it? What came behind it was a bunch of immigrants. You dig? African immigrants, Spanish, and whoever else. That came after that name. We had to share that name. So anybody want to talk about this? Anybody who has questions? Anybody who got smoke? Any concerns? Let me know. I'm with the shits. Thank you for the donations, super chats, all that. Thank you guys. Have a happy new year, right? I'm definitely not, I'm taking it like if I drink anything at all, it'll be nothing hard at all. It might be a light ass Corona beer, something like that. Or like I said, if anything, I might not do nothing. And I drunk enough on Christmas and Thanksgiving. So we super chat, super sticker. Okay. Crystal 4, peace to you. Uh the hell is he said Golden Brown said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Right. Right. So good intention to us means absolutely nothing. Okay. Bottom line it's all about the bottom line. Did it end up good or bad? History just want to know, was it good or bad? You can have good intentions for your company. If you're a salesman for your company, if you're the CEO for your company, and you make decisions, you got good intentions, and if it messes up the company, lose money, you're fired. Okay? Your good intentions. No. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You cannot prove good or bad intentions. It's really hard to do that. They got to tell you, or it's really tough to prove intentions. People kind of say their name, but the smoke session. So it looks like I highly doubt from live later on. Like I really want smoke. I want people who got a problem or anything like just saying anybody. People. You know what people do on their panels and channels? They'll talk about me like a dog and say all this stuff. Oh, he's foolish. That's that. Then I pop up on their channel in the chat like, "Yo, what's good?" Like, "Yo, send the link or pull up on my channel." All of a sudden, and then I'm like, "Yo, where were you when I was on Saturday panel? Where were you when I was on Unc's panel? Where's all you were there? You were present. You did click the link. So all this rah 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 in the background. Yeah, that doesn't phase me. Yet. I want to know who's clicking that link. You dig? That's all I care about because it's going to be a great opportunity to teach. While I'm cooking you, I'm also teaching you. Right? So it's going to be a great lesson during the kitchen, in my kitchen, because I'm going to cook for sure. You dig? African American heritage is a myth. Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as that. Have them explain that. Ask them what date that started, and you let them know what date it really started. 1988, 1889. Yeah, we became African American in 1 year. Yeah, look, we're like 8 years in Adolf FBA delineating. Jesse Jackson, man, he brought an African American. We were that in 1 year when white society helped push that. 1 year, we all were African American. Wasn't 7 years. So you know how long it took for the Italians to become Americans? 60 years. You know how long it took for Jewish people to become American? 100 years. We became African American in 1 year. Y'all don't think that's nothing? That's why we know these people pushing that are ops. These folks are ops. They're ops, man. We can't do nothing. We can't do anything with them. It took 60 years for Italians to become American. It took Jewish people 100 years to become Jewish Americans. And we became African American 1 year. The Italians didn't have that much propaganda to be American, and the Jews didn't have that much propaganda to become American. But we had all. We're talking about Republicans and Democrats working together to make us African American. Get away from that black, blickety black talk. That black power, black is beautiful. No, because there's no African American power, and there's no African American beauty, and you're not proud to be African American. No African American Wall Street. There's no African American Renaissance. There's no African American African American banks. All that stuff is wiped out. And these clowns know, all right? All they do is watch my channel in silence and try to work on a rebuttal. That's all they do. Damn, that was tight. All right, yo. The little fake little think tank, they get together in silence. They watch the channel in silence. They get together and they try to debate like they're me. So they have like the little think tank buddies with their Pan-African points, and they are Pan-African. I don't care how much they say they're not. You are. Okay. And then one person played me. Well, what if he said this? Okay, well, we're gonna say this. Okay, but what if he said that to that? Okay, that's all they do. But you guys are not good playing. You're bad at it. So might go live a little later, like I'm right now, just on the phone randomly. No computer, none of that stuff. It's on the phone. I might do something like that later. Maybe not. But I do want somebody to oppose all this. Email for the haters. Email black, not African, black think tank at yahoo.com. If the haters want a challenge, want to challenge something I said, black think tank at yahoo.com. I'll be checking my email all day today, and we could do a little quick little something. You feel me? Quick little something for the family. All right, so family, I'm out of here. Happy New Year to all you guys. Working on a New Year's resolution. My resolution last year, still now, was to not fight within my lineage too much. I think I accomplished that as much as I could. So I'm gonna have the same resolution next year, and I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna add to more teaching, more defense, more rebuttals, more innovative thoughts for the. And also, I'm gonna go on their panel less as possible. That's part of my resolution, is to stay off the op panels as much as possible. So ops are, if you're listening and you're trying to send me a link to your panel, just know my resolution is to not do that as much as possible. So once or twice, but I'm trying to stay off the op panels. You gotta come here. You gotta come to the lineage. I'm the A side. All right, family, peace. See y'all. Talk to y'all. Happy New Year. Get a resolution and stick to it. You dig? It ain't hard. Yo, that dude was like, I'm like, excuse you. At one point, he burped. Like, dude, okay, you playing now. You ain't talking. That dude said, Now, what that got to do with, come on, bro. So burping, that's how you communicate? What does that mean when you burp? Like, come on, bro. They try to act like bad habits is part of their language. Like, dude, stop. You just justifying bad habits now. Alex Jones. All right, let's get out of here.